I almost did it. I almost screwed it up, but good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Oh man, this is intriguing. So I am like really excited. I'm actually putting the finishing touches on something. As a matter of fact, as soon as I do this, I'm going to finishing up something on the Discord. And one second. And save change. There we go. Okay. So, all right. So, welcome everybody to Bridge the Divide Live. So, this is going to be interesting. You see, I have special guest PhD Tony here. Where's the bewhiskered Bridger? Yes. Okay. So yeah, the beard has come down a bit, but the beard has not gone away. It just I just took it down a little bit, and but I don't use occasionally I do, but it's good to see everybody. This is going to be an interesting stream. Okay, as I tried to hint by the thumbnail, so it's a little bit different. So before we jump into anything, I don't know how long this live stream is going to go. I do want to say hi to people who are here in the chat, and I do want to give a giant thank you to everybody because according to my studio, I am 14 away from 10K. 14 subscribers away from 10,000. So this may turn into kind of like a 10K celebration stream. I don't know, but that would be awesome if it did. So I do appreciate that. You guys absolutely rock. So I couldn't have done it without all of you. So I'm excited on multiple fronts here. So first and foremost, let's see who we got in the chat tonight. I see Fred Harvey is here. Good to see you. Fred Harvey says, never fear. Fred is here. Good to see you, Fred. Rasheen is here. Good to see you as well. Wrote it no less name. Gabba to you, sir. Thanks for being here. Tilting Windmill. Good to see you. Says, I'm all here for a BTD live stream. Thank you so much, Tilting. I do appreciate that. Elizabeth S. says, hey, JL. Good to see you, Elizabeth. Hope you're doing well. Me. Good to see you, me. You did get here before the end of the show. Well done. Well done. Vanguard, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here from Canada. Good to see you, bud. Hey, PC Tony's in the chat as well. Good to see you, Tony. Really good to see you. Says Mexican security chief confirms cartel family members entered U.S. in a deal with Trump administration. Okay, I brought that up for a very specific reason, but I'm going to get into it here in just a second. But there's like a whole like kind of theme going on tonight. I promise I'll reveal it here in just a moment. Tony, Elizabeth says hello.
Hi, Elizabeth.
Probing time 666. Remember that time it's probing? Remember that time that it's probing time 666 came into the chat? He probed all over the place. It was great. Good to see you probing. Let me see who else we got here. Peter Noddle, good to see you, Peter. Thank you so much, Dimitri the Wanderer, for $4.99 American dollars. Have you ever noticed you never see Skeptic Dank and Dimitri the Wanderer in the same place at the same time? I have wondered that. I have. The question is, what is the other doing when the other one is present? That's that. I'm curious. We need scientific investigation into this. But good to see you. Vesta Freya, good to see you. Says hello, all faithful heathens, which are some of the best people. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Good to see you, Vesta. Bilbo, good to see you. Taking a break from his trip down the road to the what was it? To Rivendell. Let me see here. Just kind of go with the Tolkien theme from the thumbnail. Let me see. Parasaurolophus. Good to see you. I know that my wife knows the dinosaur, can pronounce the dinosaur. Her favorite is Pachycephalosaurus. That's her favorite dinosaur. But I say that's a Parasaurolophus, and that's the Pompadour, Elvis. That's that one, that dinosaur. So one of the, I think it's a type of hadrosaur, but good to see you all. Thanks so much for being here. Let me see. What does Tony have? Oh, Bilbo says, what does Tony have a PhD in?
I have a PhD in geophysics.
Score.
There you are.
I do. So asking you this, because recently I found a new Discord channel that I have been kind of frequenting as of late, and it is the Omni Talk Discord channel. It's politics Discord while I'm still there, and I still do the Stage of Reason, although I am not doing the Stage of Reason this month. There's a reason for it. We will get to that. OmniTalk I kind of found and discovered through MC Toon. Actually, I found it through Planet Peterson. I found a link through MC Toon, and now I've been over there a couple of times. And I'm going to be doing an event there on the 29th of this month when I get back from what I'm about to do. And but it's been interesting. And I saw Tony over there one time. I've seen Planet Peterson over there. So it's been much more engaging because Politics Server, I'm sorry, as much as I like it over there and that I'm kind of like established, it's gotten really kind of boring, because it's just, I guess, all the people that are worth having a conversation with have kind of run away. So maybe they'll come back. I have no idea, but I just haven't been over there that much aside from Stage of Reason. But maybe it'll get better. But I found OmniTalk, so it's been interesting over there. So I've been hanging out, and it's interesting because I wanted to ask you because there's a lot of flat Earth discussion over there, and I don't engage in flat Earth content, but I have to ask you, PhD in geophysics, okay? The law of geological superposition. Is it just me, or is that just something that flat earthers just don't get? Like, why? What is the problem that these groups, flat earthers, young Earth creationists, what is this one law? What is the problem that they have with that?
So I think they've got a problem. I think it's a more general problem with their cognitive processing. Sorry, you'll have to forgive me. There is tree surgery going on across the road, which is that background noise there. But if there's an exception to something, if for instance, those sediments can be tilted or inverted, then that makes the data set useless. If there's any sort of error, that's it. They'll abandon the data set. They want absolute certainty. They don't want any exceptions whatsoever. They want this because it makes it easier to exclude any evidence that disagrees with them. Right. That's what I think their problem is. And so their problem with that is that there are some points where the sediments are formed and then they get overturned by some later process. Therefore, the superposition doesn't hold. But that's very rare. It doesn't happen very often. But they'll use that as an excuse, just like they'll use any refraction is a reason why you can't trust reciprocal zenith angles, even though reciprocal zenith angles are effects are much larger than refraction. So yeah,
I ask because I see it come up so often. They start pointing in that direction. I'd be like, the geological law of superposition. It's a law that's literally like it undergirds a lot of stuff that goes because they seem to not get that it's multifaceted. And so when we point to that one particular thing, they're like, oh, but this, and then they deflect over. So it seems like they run into that wall and they just run to something else. So I was just kind of curious because I've seen it coming up a lot. It seems a problem with that one specific law. So
well, most flat earthers are usually young Earth creationists as well. The entire point here is that these disputes over the age of the Earth and the shape of the Earth are pillars in their intellectual identification as believers and the Bible being factually correct. Right. So they can't let any evidence that stands counter to that go unchallenged. So they have to reject superposition.
Definitely. All right. So I was curious about that because I found myself on a new Discord, so that kind of answers that question. But on to this particular live stream is a little bit different. And I'm actually really, really excited. So not just because I'm so close to hitting 10K, I'm only 14 away. So thank you all for new subscribers. Do appreciate that. You guys rock. But this is a little bit different because this live stream will not be concerned with the decline of Western civilization. Okay? We will not be talking about the craziness that's going on in American politics right now. We will not be talking about young Earth creationism or Christian nationalism or flat Earth or any of that nonsense or just reality denialism in general. This is a complete time for something completely different or time for something entirely different. So to quote John Cleese, but this is a fun stream that I'm excited to do because it's entirely new. As a matter of fact, it's kind of me stepping my toe into an entirely different community, okay? And specifically, that is the treasure hunting community, something that I have never done and I've never made content on. And I'm at a position, Angela and I are at a position in our lives when we can do something. Now, this requires a little, and I have roped Tony into my efforts I've also roped Eugene and Johnny into those as well, but to a lesser degree because they're really, really busy doing their stuff. Not to say that you're not busy, Tony. You're just less busy than they are. So, but I have roped Tony into it, and this requires a bit of backstory. Okay. So it'll just the backstory I gave Tony. I'll try to sum this up. Like I said, I don't know how long this is going to take. So I hope everybody's listening. This is totally different. So I make a habit of watching YouTube while I am working out, while I'm in the gym, while I'm in my home gym. Okay. So I go to work out, I have it set up, I can watch YouTube, or I can watch YouTube or Netflix or whatever. I can watch. It's what I was doing during Week in Horror. I would watch movies while I was working out. That's how I would multitask and be able to keep up with all the movies we were going to talk about that week. So it just continued on from there. And I found a little thing that popped up on Netflix, and that was a documentary. I found a documentary on Netflix that was about the Forest Fen treasure. It's called Greed and Gold, the Forest Fen treasure, the hunt for Forest Fen's treasure. Okay. Now, for those who are not familiar with that, I can fill you in a little bit. Forrest Fenn is who passed away a few years back. Forrest Fenn was a ex-military, was former military, or never former military, but he was former military. Is a veteran, and he became an art collector and art dealer based out of Santa Fe, New Mexico. He had a bit of a storied life, very outdoorsy. His father was outdoor, outdoors, spent a lot of time fishing and, spending time in Yellowstone and a number of other places. So he's a big outdoorsy kind of guy. And he was kind of larger than life. He was a big personality local to Santa Fe. Like Santa Fe residents, they knew who he was. And so that was Forrest Fenn. Throughout his years, he became known as he was an art collector, an art dealer, and he dealt in artifacts and stuff like that. He had a kind of like reputation amongst celebrities and other rich people who he would, dealing in art and, cool art pieces and stuff like, like interesting pieces, historical pieces, stuff like that. He got into some trouble with the law, with the federal government a couple of times for some of the antiquities that he procured and how he procured them. So, because he's a bit of a Tomb Raider, in that respect. In reality, the way it was, how I'd say there's a bit of an Indian, kind of like a Belloc kind of idea there as to how he acquired his stuff. But nonetheless, he was a friendly guy. He was a nice guy. He was really rich. And he one day, and he lost his dad to cancer. And so that was always a fear that he had, is that his father passed away from cancer, and his father had a choice. His father actually had to make a choice, was live the next 6 months in agony while he tried to fight it with no guarantee he was going to survive, or spend the next 2 weeks, relatively healthy with his family, and then likely rapidly decline from there and then go. That was his prognosis, was like, you had maybe a few weeks left, or we could like kick you out to 6 months, maybe a year, but with like heavy duty treatment. And he opted for the no, and he lived out his short amount of time, and then he did it himself. Forrest was diagnosed with cancer at one point. I believe it was colon cancer. Is it a colon or pancreatic cancer? I think it was pancreatic cancer. It was a bad one. And so he was diagnosed, and he was, he freaked out a little bit, and he decided that he was going to go out into the wilderness, to his favorite spot, to a spot that he loved that was special to him. And he was going to sit down, with his taking the sights, taking the scenery, and he was going to bring a treasure chest with him, a chest that he filled with his most valuable stuff, bring it with him. He was going to go out, he was going to tell nobody, and then he was going to, do it himself. He was going to take care of himself, and then allow somebody to come across and find his treasure, just at random. Well, that was his plan. That didn't come to fruition because he got treatment and he went into remission. But he loved the treasure hunt idea. So Forrest Fenn put together a treasure hunt called the Thrill of the Chase. Okay. And he took this bronze chest, filled it full of like antiquities and gold and all kinds of other stuff, blah, blah, blah. And he went out into the woods, went out into the wilderness, somewhere in the Rockies, and he hid it. And he then released a poem that was a part of a book called The Thrill of the Chase. And he invited and then they published it, and he invited it really, it was a small publishing. It was only like 100 copies in a local Santa Fe bookstore. And then they published it, and then that was it. That was all. And the thing was, read the book, read the poem, and then if you follow the clues in the poem, that's your map to go find the treasure. And that was it. Now, it took off, it blew up. National media got a hold of it, and it went like wildfire. Over 300,000 people went searching for this thing. That treasure laid undiscovered for like, I think, just over 10 years until a guy named Jack Stuff came across it and he found it. Okay. Now, the community that built around this thing, I had no idea how big it was, how prone it is to conspiracy and all kinds of insanity. I had no idea about this until I dove into it. But I've discovered this. Now, here we are back up to regular day. One of the guys who went searching for this treasure, his name is Justin Posey. Justin Posey is a really, I've never met him, but he seems like a really good guy. I've seen a bunch of his interviews, and he's I believe, a software engineer by trade. He's worked for Disney, worked for Microsoft, but he also is an outdoorsman. Spent time in Yellowstone, spent time in the Rockies, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, loves fishing, do all that stuff. And he was one of the major searchers for the treasure, for Forest Fence treasure. He went so far as to create facial recognition algorithms to try and detect when Forrest was lying or telling the truth in his interviews. He went that far to write the code himself. That's the kind of guy he is. Unfortunately, he didn't find it. Jack Stuff found it. But he spent a good portion, like 7 years hunting for this, 7 or 8 years hunting for this treasure with his trusty, loyal, loving dog, Tucker, okay, who he trained to sniff out bronze. This guy was intense, like seriously intense, dedicated to the hunt. Nonetheless, he didn't find it. As a matter of fact, he was gearing up for another hunt, to go out there for another hunt when news broke that it was found. So he didn't find it. He was bummed, but he still wanted to try and procure some of it. So he actually did procure the treasure through auction. Okay. And then he decided to do his own little treasure hunt. Okay. But he was setting that all up when they wanted to do the documentary that's currently on Netflix, Greed and Gold, The Hunt for Fenn's Treasure. And he was a part of that documentary. They came and they interviewed him at his house, did all kinds of stuff. And this is in the process of him setting up his own little treasure hunt. Okay. But he wanted to do it just like Fenn did, right? So as it turns out, he wrote a poem, and then he was in the documentary, and then he wrote a book. And that book is Beyond the Map's Edge. Okay. This is the book that Justin Posey wrote. This is the hardcover vision. There's a hardcover and an ebook. Okay. Now, according to Justin, the hunt is currently on right now. All you need is the poem, which is in the book, and it's also on his website. All you need is that, and you could possibly find the treasure. The book has hints to unlocking the treasure, to unlocking clues within the poem to find the treasure. And the Netflix documentary has little clues sparsed out through all the times they interviewed him at his house. He's put them in the background and stuff for people to try and suss out that could lead to other things. He's also said that there's a cipher somewhere involved, like an easy cipher somewhere involved in there. You don't need a lot of technical knowledge, according to him. And so Angela and I are on the treasure hunt train. We have jumped on this, and we have gone full bore. Okay. I have gone down so many rabbit holes trying to go into this. But the reason I'm doing this live stream is because this week, and I've roped Tony into all of this. Okay. So giving him everything. He has all my resources. Okay. All of my resources, everything he has access to, same stuff that I do. And so Angela and I will be going out of town to go and hunt. As a matter of fact, we're leaving Thursday. Okay. So this live stream is before we leave Thursday. And we have a solve that we think might be correct. So we have an area we're going to start with. We're going to go hunt. Actually, we have several in a particular area. We're going to go and try and knock it out. We will be gone for 10 days. Okay. So we'll be going out of town, going up north. Notice how I haven't said where, but we will be going. Okay. Now, of course, I like group efforts. So what I was doing on the Discord, as I was setting this up, I should have done it earlier, but it just kind of occurred to me, I should do this. There is a new channel on the Bridge the Divide Discord. Link is down in the description, called Treasure Hunt Chat. And that Treasure Hunt Chat is where people can talk about what is going on. I will be recording. I will be uploading content. Okay. Do I consider myself now a part of the Treasure Hunt community? No. I'm still going to do my stuff, the stuff that I want to do, which is, like the debunking stuff and, that kind of content. This is just something entirely new, something fun, something that we don't have to worry about. So I can at least take my mind off of the shit that I'm seeing every day. And I'm glad that I could rope Tony into it as well, because obviously there's crap going on all over the place. And I know Tony could probably use, put his mind on other stuff as well. So that's what is going on. Okay. So that's the book, and like I said, I've roped Tony into this to get his ideas. He has the book. He has there's a book. There's the book itself. There is the map that he has put. It's got all the legal shit. There's the map. Okay. And the treasure's located somewhere here in these states, somewhere in one of these states. So he's got New Mexico, Arizona, California, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, and Utah, and then, of course, Alaska. Okay? So that's where it is somewhere. Okay? And bits and pieces throughout this book, and the book itself is basically kind of like autobiographical. It's stories about his mom, about his dad, about, his life growing up, the experiences he had, all kinds of cool stuff, various things. I've got all my bookmarks and everything here. It's interesting stuff, but that's pretty much it. And then, of course, you can go to the website and you can see the poem there. But what do you think, Tony? What's your take on this whole brand new thing?
Well, it's an interesting problem. I think that sort of puzzles like these, to some extent, rely on familiarity with the person. So the way their mind works and the way they put things together. Because there are things about all of these clues that strike me as significant. But don't apparently leap out to other people, and vice versa. So it's an interesting problem. It's really diverting. But I think you've got training in sort of in psychological assessment of individuals, and I think that in this particular case, there's a strong psychological component that you've kind of skipped over to some extent in the backstory.
There's a lot of details. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but this guy, Mr. Posey, he's extremely he underwent an extremely significant trauma while searching for the Fen treasure. Mm-hmm. And I think that this treasure is designed to memorialize his younger brother, and other family members, and indeed Tucker, his dog.
That's his dog, Tucker.
If you watch the documentary, Tucker has a harness on so he can be picked up and put into places that he used to be able to jump into. Yeah. Because Tucker's getting on. Tucker's a good dog. And Clive Wells is asking if you can do a seance.
How about the treasure? His friends in the spirit world.
That might be more effective if Mr. Posey was dead, but he's not. So and indeed, this got the Fen treasure hunt got extremely full on with of threats to Fen's family, threats to people turning up at his house, all sorts of shit happened,
and deaths. 4 people who died.
4 people who died in the search from being careless, careless and just thoughtless. don't go into the wilderness alone, just as a general rule.
Right.
And particularly don't do dangerous things alone. Yeah, it's a sort of, some people got really, really obsessed about this, and the idea here with the book and the poem and the Netflix thing is to try and avoid some of that stuff.
Right.
But I think that you've got the bottom line that I want to make is, this seems very personal to him. This is something that means a lot to him, and I think your skills with sort of psychology and personality assessment are going to stand you in good stead, and sort of interpreting how he thinks and what he's put together.
Fingers crossed. So just real quick, NANA for 666. Thank you so much, NANA. Says, PC Tony is the shit. Thank you so much, NANA. Appreciate that. Left-Handed Jedi has been a member of the Godless Army for 16 months. Thank you so much, Left-Handed Jedi. You rock. And Left-Handed Jedi for $2 Freedom says, isn't it in or around the Superstition Mountains? So Fenn's treasure, when it was found, was in Yellowstone. Okay, you started in an area where 3 rivers converged, and then you basically went down into you went downstream through a canyon down to the fire hole, and then it was literally 500 feet off the fire hole. It's always so wild when they hide the treasure. It's like, where could it be? And then when you find out where it's at, it's like, whoa, it was right there. It was literally 500 feet off of a river that was used by fishermen all the time and sat there for 10 years undiscovered. That was it. And even Justin himself and his brother, Brandon, had been in that area hunting and never came across it. So it was I think it was a 10 by 10 by 5, 10 inch by 10 inch by 5 inch chest sitting right there 500 feet from the bank. Never found it. So it was like, it happens, Thank you so much, NANA. Oh, wow, very generous. You gifted 50 Bridge the Divide memberships. You rock, NANA. Thank you so much. Welcome, all you new members. Please enjoy all the emojis, all the custom emojis I've made for you. So you rule, NANA. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. I always like seeing new members. We may have unlocked a new emoji with that one. It's possible. So yeah, this is the website. For those who are unaware, I was kind of going through it. Says, this is Justin and his dog Tucker. And Tucker was a good boy. Tucker unfortunately has passed away. He was a good dog though. Loved that. He loved that dog. I fell in love with that dog from the documentary. The whole thing is called Beyond the Map's Edge. Let's see. The treasure itself, 60-pound treasure. Gold, Pamp Suisse, kilogram bars, gold flakes, gold dust, and more precious gemstones, historical artifacts, unique items, Bitcoin, and a Bitcoin wallet. The Bitcoin wallet grows with book sales. So the more books that are sold, that money goes into the Bitcoin wallet, and that will increase, and that will goes up as more books are sold. Okay, so there of the treasure. Okay, it's not in this case. He just did this he said he's not in this like what you're saying. He just did this for the picture deal. That dragon bracelet right there, that is from Forrest Fenn's treasure. That's a piece of like Forrest Fenn's original treasure. And honestly, given people know that I collect dragons in the glass cases that I have behind me, that I've been collecting them for like almost 30 years. I want that dragon. That's like the one piece I want. I want that dragon. I want it in my collection. So that's like the one thing I was like, all this stuff is good. It's like, hey, gold, cool, gems, great. I want that dragon. I want that dragon in my case. That's what I want. That's what I'm looking for. So, but that's the treasure, and a large meteorite. He's got that one's right there. That's the meteorite that he has in there. So, and a bunch of certified coins, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, all kinds of neat stuff is in that treasure. This is the poem, Beyond the Map's Edge. Can you find what lives in time, flowing through each measured rhyme? Wisdom waits in shadowed sight for those who read these words just right. As hope surges clear and bright, walk near waters' silent flight. Round the bend past the hole, I wait for you to cast your pole. In Ursa East his realm awaits, his bride stands guard at ancient gates. Her foot of 3 at 20 degree, return her face to find the place. Double arcs on granite bold, where secrets of the past still hold. Beyond the reach of time's swift race, wonder guards this sacred space. Truth rests not in clever minds, not in tangled, twisted finds. Like a river's steady flow, what you seek, you already know. So that is the poem. And he says it's consecutive. So the clues in this poem are the step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, blah, 10. And he has indicated that there are at least 10 clues in the poem. So 10 steps in the poem, at least 10 steps in the poem that will lead you to the treasure. So, and then of course there's the book, which we got almost immediately, and ebook hardcovers like this. So, and this is what's interesting. In memory of the whole thing, what Tony was talking about, the commemorative thing, like 4 points of a compass. This treasure hunt is dedicated to 4 departed souls who shaped my journey. His father, who taught me to see the adventure in every day. Grandpa Fitzwater, who carved his name on the London Bridge and his legacy in my heart. His grandfather was a veteran. Both of his grandfathers were veterans. Brother Brandon, who the tragic end there, but who we spent a lot of time hunting for Fenn's treasure with, whose absence has left a void no amount of treasure can fill, but whose spirit of adventure lives on. Tucker, my loyal companion, whose enthusiasm for life could make even the most mundane walk feel like an expedition. And then life's greatest stories await those who venture beyond their normal routine. Adventures aren't lost letters you wait for at home. They're unwritten chapters only you can write. So that's that. That's the book. There's the poem. And the website, if you want to check it out yourself, is treasure.quest. It's just treasure.quest is his website. And you got the map there with all these places that are marked on it. Okay. Of those states. Announcements he's made. Given interviews he's given and stuff like that. So I think the last one was May 6th. He's got an interview with American Treasure Podcast. May 4th, and then questions that he's answered. Treasures hidden on publicly accessible land. Focuses on legal accessibility, the final location, not convenience of access. Safety must also always be top priority. He doesn't want anybody getting hurt doing this or dying. The treasure is in a location that is legally accessible to the public. It is not on private property or any location that requires special permission, insider knowledge, or breaking any laws to access. Audiobook version is apparently on the way. And what's funny is I actually recorded an audiobook version myself, so that I listened to, so I could, because he said there were differences in the hardcover and the ebook, that there were differences between the two. Okay. As far as I can tell, there are 3 differences, and they are negligible. There are 2 pictures that are in the hardcover that are not in the ebook, and the formatting is a little bit different because in the ebook, if you look at each chapter, in each chapter of the book, like this, okay, I know you probably can't see that, but like the first few words, okay, so this one is, in elementary school, we marched like a block day, telling a story about elementary school. In the ebook, the in elementary school part is in block text or bold text. It's in bold text, and then it goes to standard format. That's the only difference is 2 pictures that are included in here that are not in the ebook, and the bold text on the in the opening words of each chapter. So, interview with Hollywood Reporter, treasure hunt with us. Questions asked: is a specialized vehicle needed? No, so on and so forth. So I put this. So we wanted to do this because it was fun, and it's kind of like I have maps of our search areas. We use the hallway. We use one of our hallways to like post up all the maps. So it's starting to look like Charlie's board from It's Always Sunny. Where we're connecting stuff. So all the notes and we have there. So I wanted to open this up for anybody who wasn't aware of what was going on, who wasn't aware of this whole thing. I wanted to open it up for speculation, for theory crafting. So that's on the Discord. Okay, I've already put it up. The channel's available. It's publicly accessible to everybody, so you can talk about it there. And if you have ideas about it, you have access to the website, treasure.quest. And that's pretty much it. So that's the idea. So we'll be going out of town, and the area we're going is intensely rural, and we are it's deep wilderness is where we're going, and we're bringing the dogs with us. It's already planned. It's planned out. We've got our vehicle rented. We've got the location we're going to be staying at rented, and we got all of our gear and everything. Just got a second set of binoculars for Angela, and I've got my other one. My other one's out there. So that's pretty much it. That's what's going on. Something completely different, and I'm excited to be a part of it. And I was glad I could rope Tony in on it as well. And of course, I'd love to hear what other people think as well in the chat. So if you read it or if you check it out, or I want to hear you guys' thoughts. I do, like where it could be, where you think it is. It's a puzzle. It's a puzzle, So let's try and put it together. Let's try and put it all together.
Yeah, Merlin makes an excellent point that healthy knowledge of local geography is an advantage, and this is why I think it's a little disingenuous to say that all you need is the poem, because you do need to know sort of place names and other things. So it's a
well, that's Justin's words. Justin said all you need is the poem, and that the book and the Netflix documentary will help you.
Yeah.
But he said that's just Justin's words. I agree with this. Topographical knowledge is important. But he's also said that there's a point in the hunt where there's a point in the poem where you have to go boots on the ground. And if you don't go boots on the ground, you will not see. It's something you have to physically be there to see. He's also said that there's a checkpoint that when you find it, you will absolutely know that you are on the right path. No idea what this checkpoint is. It obviously has to be a natural feature. It can't be something that he put out there, because if somebody else found it, they could remove it. And they could remove it. Nobody else could be able to find it. So it's obviously going to be a natural feature that if you see it, you're automatically going to know that you're on point. So that's my thoughts. So, yes, knowing local lore would also be very helpful, which Angela and I have been diving into extensively in all the areas. I have learned so much about about the history of certain areas, more than I thought. It's all in our notes. It's in our little conspiracy wall thing. Lieutenant Jedi says, have you thought about asking Chat GPT where the treasure is? So obviously that's like the first thing. And unfortunately, people have been trying to do that, and it's so vague that it comes out with different stuff every single time. In fact, a lot of the answers that ChatGPT has come up with have pointed people to places like in the Appalachian Mountains or the Adirondacks and other places that are completely east and not in one of the 7 states that is on Justin's map. So it's kind of all over the place. So now I can say this. I'm kind of speculating here. I get your opinion, Tony. I don't think it's in Alaska. I think Alaska can be eliminated because of how cost prohibitive it is.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. Also, he makes a point of safety. Going into the wilderness in Alaska is not a particularly safe thing to do.
Right.
Also, if you look at his, sort of, certainly, I haven't read through the entire book yet, but certainly I haven't come across any stories about Alaska or any links to Alaska. So yeah, I'd say that's fairly safe. Somebody made a point. Binge Thinker referenced the clock from the documentary. Yeah, that's something that sort of stands out. Like dog's bollocks, really, from the documentary. It's there are a few things he does that are quite conspicuous, but it's a question of how to interpret the times that are on the clock, because he does make a point of setting the clock. The clock's very between a limited number of times. The clock doesn't seem to progress during the interviews.
Right.
So
yeah, this because there's no second hand.
Yeah. Well, the minute hand doesn't move, right? He's telling stories that are widely separated in time, and the minute hand hasn't moved at all. So there's no chance that the clock is actually functioning. It's just setting on particular coordinates. The question is how to interpret those times. There are. JL's come up with a clever plan. I think that the clever plan is a little bit contradicted by the last verse, where you don't have to be that clever.
So an interesting thing, and I'm going to see if I can do this. Present which file? Let me see here. If I go to my desktop and I go to... Okay, I think I'm going to have to do this. So I think we've seen enough of... Oh, and real quick, Binge Thinker for $4.99. Thank you so much. Says, did you notice he changed the time on the clock before the interview and it kept changing wildly? Yes. And there are, from what I identified, there are 6 unique times on that clock. Throughout all 3 episodes of the documentary, there are 6 unique times. And my thoughts, and I can go ahead and throw this out there because this is just my speculation. My thoughts were that if you take the poem, which he says is most important, and then you take the hour and the minute hand, and I was like, what if, because it only goes, the range of times on that clock go from like 12 to like in the 12 hour to the 6 hour, I think. So it's like, or 12 to 5 or something like this. So it's literally on the east side of the clock, It's all on the east side of the clock. And so it was like, okay, well, how many, and I thought, just speculating here, it's just theory crafting. What if the number of the hour indicates a line in the poem, and what if the minute indicates the letters in that line? Okay, so hour, minute, and you just count down to like 12, and then you go the 4th letter. Okay, or you go down to 5, the 33rd letter. Okay, on the 5th line, or whatever it was. And so I put that together, and I got the word geodes. Now, I don't know if that means anything, or it's just, I don't know if that means anything. I don't know if it's correct. It's complete and total speculation. All I know is that I used that idea, and I got a word out of it. It could have been a bunch of letters that don't mean anything, but I got GEODES using that. And I don't know if that means anything. So you got me. That's as far as I got with that. I don't even know. So I don't know if it's right, but I couldn't find any other way to apply those letters other than trying to ascertain directions and stuff, because there's the foot of 3 at 20 degree and 20 degrees, being an arc. And maybe it has something to do with if you take all of the clock positions and put them together, like overlay them all, and then wherever the 20 degree is will give you a bearing. I thought that. I'm not sure. So I've gone all over the place. The clock indicates longitude time. So putting the numbers together, no one's been able to put it together a latitude or longitude. But I will tell you this, it's something that I have not seen brought up anywhere. This seems like, I don't know if I discovered this like this, but just because I edit so much, I do so much editing. And I know you watched the documentary, right, Tony?
Yep.
So towards the end of the documentary, for those of you who've watched it, you remember back at the end of the 3rd episode, you see his hand doing the combination lock, okay? And the combination goes to multiple numbers, okay? So I copied that video. So I grabbed it, I recorded it, and I put it on my computer, and I put it into my editing software. There are 2 editing cuts in that shot, and they are so flipping subtle that I don't know. I have it on the Reddit threads that I'm a part of, that I've been following. No one's brought it up. No one's brought up that there are 2 deliberate edits in that sequence. So those numbers are deliberate. And what we think is that it's an Easter egg because the numbers put together are a latitude, and that latitude corresponds with Forrest Fenn's treasure. So potentially not with Forrest Fenn's treasure, but the idea being that maybe you start there and then you go somewhere else, because Justin has said that he wanted his to begin where Forrest ends. and forest ends there, and maybe you go there. So there's a lot of speculation here. Gematria. Gamatria.
Yeah.
So
There's
it's all over
literally
the place. Yeah.
one of the things that irks me is actually the 20-degree line in that poem.
Let's take a look at it.
Yeah.
Her foot of 3 at 20°. Return her face to find the place.
Okay. To me, none of that makes any sense. Return her face. That's not grammatical. What, you took her face off? 20, 20 degrees, it should be. It should be plural. It isn't pluralized. Her foot of 3 doesn't mean anything. And also the rhyming scheme has changed here. This is the one place in the poem where the rhyming scheme is not between lines. It's an interline rhyming scheme. So the rhyming scheme has changed dramatically. The grammar has fallen apart. And it becomes a lot less. The language becomes a lot less comprehensible. So I'm deeply suspicious of those two lines. If there's anywhere in the poem that I think has signs of artificiality, like it's actually a cipher or it's actually reordered or something like that, these are the two lines. Also, whoever it was earlier in the chat who said that they've come in at the beginning of a horror film and you're going to get eaten by the chupacabra.
Chupacabras are down south. Where we're going, it probably would be Bigfoot. It would be a Bigfoot that gets us.
I wouldn't give up on Wendigos if you're going there.
Ooh, yeah. Well, yeah, it's possible. There's some big reservations near where we're going. So there could be Wendigos. Yeah, the Algonquin legend is possible. Steve 6464 for $5 freedom says, "Sure hope this doesn't turn into a remake of the Blair Witch Project." Me too. That would be great. Bigfoots, yes, big feets and Wendigos. But it is intriguing, and we've been speculating about this thing starting like where exactly does it start? In the poem, like where's the first step? He says there's 10. I've started like there's 10 clues. There's 10 steps. He says there's 10, at least 10. It could be 10 alone because there are 5, and that would put 2 in each one, and that makes sense with 4 lines with 1 clue within each set. So that kind of tracks. And with his kind of analytical mind, the way he remembers stuff and the way he plans stuff, Justin is an extremely linear thinker. The way he puts events together are very successive. He's not prone to spatial thinking in that respect of like going to here. He doesn't think like Stephen King. He thinks very much like a software engineer, where things are in terms of logic gates, going from one to the next. And so that kind of tracks with that. And so I think that that's one clue. And then wisdom, way, shadow, sight, for those who read these words just right, that's a second clue. The question is, are they directions or are they locations? Which one is which? Like, is one a location, is one is a bearing to where to go to the next one, which is my kind of theory on this, is that one clue will be a location where you're supposed to be, and the other one will be a bearing to the next location. And because, like a river steady flow, what you seek you already know is the location of the treasure. Okay, so if that's a location and not a bearing, but it could be a bearing because it could tell you where to go and you walk right to it. Because he says the poem will lead you right to it. Like you walk up and you'll be bam, it'll be right there, no mistake. So don't know which ones or how he sorted it out, or even where with the whole cipher idea, where this is, if it's buried somewhere in here, because this is a really problematic verse. So, but I've hunted through the book for anagrams. I've hunted through the book for all kinds of stuff. I think there was one anagram that was found in one chapter. And it's interesting because all of his chapters are alliterative. So he's got like the Snout Scout, the Postal Pilgrimage. He does that through, I think, for all the chapters except for 2. The Treasure Trail. And no, it's not that kind of treasure trail. It's a different treasure trail. But he did one for like the Postal Pilgrimage, which, if I remember correctly, is an incident when he was in Arizona and his grandfather sent him out to get the mail. And he encountered, while trying to get down to the mailbox on the property, he ran aground 2 rattlesnakes, who then were like crawling all over his feet. So yeah, he had an encounter with a couple of rattlesnakes during mating season, and it freaked him out. The Postal Pilgrimage. The Postal Pilgrimage is well, I don't know if it's intended, but it is an anagram for Gimp Leg in Polaris. And it's funny because it's a Gimp Leg in Polaris, because when he hid the treasure, he did it when he had a broken tibia. So that was a part of the story, is that like when he decided to go and physically go out and hide the treasure, he did not use a vehicle that could be tracked. It took him 4 trips to like go to where he was to hide it, because he went in 4 trips because it was just too heavy. So it was 4 trips to get everything there, back to whatever vehicle he used and back. And he made sure he covered his tracks quite well. He says he will know that if someone finds a treasure and moves it, he says he'll know, like immediately, which leads me to believe that the treasure is air tagged. Okay, and he's the only one who knows where it is. No one else on the planet knows where it's at. Only he does. And he had a broken tibia when he was hiding it. And then the Postal Pilgrimage is anagrams to Gimp Leg and Polaris, or I think like Gimp Leg and Polaris, I think is what it was. So, which I think is funny. So, the poem is probably a reference to the Silmarillion. Oh, thank you, Clive. Appreciate that.
I am being needled by the chat with multiple references to Tolkien. They clearly want me to hold forth on how crap Tolkien is. But I'm not going to rise to their transparent bait.
So yeah, all I can say is don't spend too much money on this. I think it comes down. I think it's good advice. If you don't have the money to spend, don't spend it. Right? That's kind of the key. If you don't go like into debt looking for this. If you watch the documentary on Netflix, you will see a fine example of people who do that. 2 guys who spent a family who went looking for it and spent 2 years trying to dig under a boulder they found because they thought the treasure was underneath it. And 2 years of time they wasted trying to jackhammer, dig, and excavate this boulder because they thought the treasure was underneath it. I felt so bad for those guys. So terrible. But you can say this. Despite that, they're a bit of they call themselves rednecks or hicks or whatever. They're not super educated. They talk about all this in the documentary. But the whole adventure, the whole like thing that they did, going out there working as a family to try and find this, both kids who were involved in that got clean. It brought them together as a family. They mended fences, and they have never been closer before. So the hunt, even though it was unsuccessful, united their family again, brought them together, and got both sons clean, and kept them out of trouble because their dad was unfortunately an ex-con. So, but they kept him focused, doing stuff that wasn't destructive, and that's what they took away from it. We have the opportunity to make memories. Angela and I do, just us. We've been working our asses off since we were in our 20s, and we've been together since we got together. I met Angela when I was 23, and she was 19. Okay, and that we've been together. We've been together ever since. She's the love of my life, and we haven't had the opportunity. We've been working our asses off on whatever we do, socking away everything we can, trying to get a little bit out of life. The little enjoyments we have, go on vacation every few years. And this is not, but that's always with other friends. It's always with other people, it's part of groups in order to like offset the cost. this is the first time that we can do something where it's just her and me, and we can go out and we can have some fun and we can make some serious memories and have a lot of fun doing it. And that's the whole key. I'm not saying we're going to find it. I'm saying the odds are slim. There's so many possibilities as where this thing could be, but I'm looking forward to going out and doing stuff that I haven't gotten to do since I was a fucking Boy Scout. Since I was coming up, the 10 years I spent in Scouts before I got my Eagle Scout, and go to Philmont and doing that stuff, utilizing the stuff that I learned out there, being a part of being out there, being in the wilderness, all the things you learn on the trail. I haven't gotten to use that like in decades, and I'm looking forward to going out and doing that. Okay, once again with my best friend, with the love of my life, we get to go out and do that, and that almost is more alluring to me than finding the treasures. The treasure would be a bonus. It just kind of gives us a goal. We get to go out there and hunt and have the dogs with us and show the dogs new territory and have them smell all the smells, and go outside. And that is just freaking amazeballs, for lack of a better term. Just amazeballs.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't felt comfortable enough to invest in a copy of the book. So yeah, there's a limit to how much I'm willing to dedicate to this. But yeah, I think going out and having sort of a camping holiday and looking at it that way, that's fine. But yeah, you can't really plan that you're going to be the one to find it. The odds are not strong in that favor. And you shouldn't be relying on it in any sense. But the whole point of Posey's whole ethos here is that this is fun. It gives people some fun things to do, some high stakes stuff, and it's stuff that he enjoyed doing when he was hunting Fenn's treasure. So he thinks that other people should be able to have fun as well. Right. So it seems well intentioned. Just try and approach it from a fun perspective, and it'll be okay, I think. But as soon as people started getting too serious about it, I think it had negative consequences. People were willing to take risks that they shouldn't have done. People were willing to commit time and energy that they could not really afford. And it took a psychological toll on a lot of participants. But I think, Posey is trying to make this sort of, okay, this is something that I enjoyed. You can enjoy it too, but it's going to be safe and it's going to be secure, and just everybody have a good time. Don't stress over it. So yeah.
Peter Noddle brings up the real treasure is in the fun you'll have searching. The real treasure is the friends you make along the way.
Aha, there you are.
But yeah, it's going to be a blast. People have brought up bears, rattlesnakes. I know how to deal with wildlife, and we have all our protections. We have all the stuff that we need. All the precautions. I know how to do it. I know how to handle bear bags. I know how to what stuff to bring on the trail, what stuff to not bring on the trail. How to deal with mountain lions and various other. The wolves are pretty much not a problem. It's pretty much mountain lions, snakes, typically. Western rattlesnakes, and of course Western rattlesnakes and pygmy rattlesnakes, and of course bears. And so I know how to deal with those. I'm not concerned about that. My biggest concern is, the only real concern I've got is finding it and then trying to get it out of there without running into somebody else. Because watching the documentary and watching what the idea of this thing can do to people is that if you were to get a hold of it, considering how big it is and how much, and trying to get out of there on foot, running into somebody else would be the only concern that I would really have. And because when you're out there, that's the only thing I would be terribly concerned about. Luckily, I have my German Shepherds with me, so we're good to go. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Now the question is the scare. Also, there's also the concern that we could be halfway up there on the drive, and then all of a sudden Justin announces somebody found it. That would be really obnoxious because it's like, okay, well, I guess we don't really have anything to hunt for. I guess we're just going up there to see the sights, which would be kind of a bummer, but it'll still be a lot of fun. It's always fun to have a kind of like a motivating thing that you're doing when you're on vacation. That way you don't feel like you're just listing about, oh, let's go take pictures of things. Yay. Now to actually get involved and be a part of that stuff. So looking forward to it big time. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope so. And, sounds like you've got it all organized. Somebody said the real treasure is the shallow graves you find along the way, or the ones you dig.
Or ones you dig. I was just thinking that. Or the ones you dig.
The real monsters are always humans, says Merlin. Yeah. Well, I mean, that depends. That depends on your preferred style of horror. In cosmic horror, it's not the humans.
And by the way, good to see you, Merlin. Good to see you. I killed Earl. Good to see you, Jinju. Greg S. Glad you popped in. A bunch of people. Ollie Man. Good to see you. Welcome from Canada. Doremo 10. Good to see you as well. Appreciate you being here. You guys rock. Liam Wakefield. So I want to make sure I said hi to Binge Thinker. Good to see you. I always dig the hole ahead of time. Plead the fifth. So yeah, like I said, I like group efforts. It's on the Discord right now. So if you have the chance, I'm going to put more resources in there as well. I'm going to put like the link to the website. You can go and check that out, which has the map and it has the map and the poem. You can check that out. I'm not asking anybody to spend any money on this thing. I don't expect anybody to come out and hunt with me. But that's where we're going to be going. And so Tony knows, you guys know where we'll be. You know that I'll be heading out. Tony, I haven't even told Tony where I'm going physically, but we want people to know where we're going. So, but we'll be taking care of all the precautions, what our itinerary is and when we're supposed to be back. So like, if I'm not back, I don't, then you'll know something is up. It's like, JL went out into the wilderness and never returned.
We'll be looking for a really fat bear.
Oh, yes, that would be a big bear. That would be a big, slow-moving bear. So, classic horror. Oh, yeah. I miss doing Week in Horror. I do. I on occasion, I miss doing the show because I watch new horror films and it's kind of like, oh, we're not going to get a chance to talk about them and stuff. I did get some good news. I was really happy that a director wanted to option one of my scripts. To go and shoot nice. for one of the short films that I wrote. They wanted to option it to take it to a competition, which I was really excited about. I was like, I don't charge for that stuff. If they wanted to, I just want my name up there. And so just the credit. Okay. And so I let them run it. Just run it. Right. I write it. You take it. Run with it. Just do it. And I'm happy to do that. So I got some good news there. So maybe I'll see another one of my shorts in production here pretty soon. But yeah, things just kind of coming up roses and having a lot of fun. I'm so glad that we get an opportunity to not talk about, the shit that's going on out there. And by the way, I am 6 away from 10K. I am 6 away.
Oh, okay.
9,994, in case anybody didn't know how to count. But, my newest video is doing good today. Fuck yeah. Everything's just coming up me.
Nice. And in the horror film, that's when things are about to take a turn, right? Everything looks good for the early bit, and then crap starts raining down.
It's this whole thing. It's like, man, everything's great. The drive up there is going to be perfect, and the snow that we're going to hit is going to be broken. We can do like this, and then I'm going to get eaten by a bear. So
yeah, okay. Well, it happens.
And then Angela's going to find the treasure and take out. I won't be around to enjoy any of it. And I'm just like, this is the way it's going to end. That was the story.
And she's going to pawn that dragon and go, fuck you, JL. I never liked dragons anyway.
These stupid things. Oh, thank you so much. NANA, who gifted another 5 memberships to the Godless Army. Thank you so much, bud. You rock. Very generous. NANA just making my night.
He is.
And of course, any super chats that come through or anything that goes to the PayPal or anything like that, any super chats that come through are going are helping not only with the channel, but they're helping with this because I'm creating content while I'm out there. I'll be recording. I've got all my gear. I've got my gimbal. I've got my giant external battery pack. I've got all my gear set and ready to go so I can be recording while we're out there. So it's all going. This is all going to help with that. So it's going to a good place. Mm-hmm.
All good. So
I didn't want to interrupt you. I apologize about that. So
that's okay. I was only going to bring up Sinners because it's the only horror film I've seen recently.
I have yet to see it because, like it. I have to drive out to go to a theater, so I have to wait for it. Either I make the hour drive, or I wait for it to come on streaming. I want to check it out because I love Ryan. I love Ryan Coogler.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael B. Jordan is just an amazing actor. So, and I Killed Earl gifted 20 memberships to the Godless Army. Thank you so much, Earl. You rule. Appreciate it. Look at all these amazing new members. Enjoy all of the custom emojis I've made for you. Some of them I really am very proud of, like the Heil Greg one is one of my favorites. Steve 64 says, so this is the final experiment. In a way, it's my big adventure. I didn't get to go to Antarctica. It's flat earth stuff, but this will be me going out into the wilderness, doing the thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. So thank you, I Killed Earl. Appreciate that. You rock. You guys are awesome. I do appreciate it. But there you have it. The floor is open for speculation. If people want to check it out, if you haven't heard about this, if you want to kind of like throw your thoughts out there, hear what you say. I'll be covering some of this stuff. This is another big thing. And I feel there are a couple of other big names that talk about this stuff. Estes Quest, Calazars, K-Pro, or some other YouTubers that deal with this stuff. And it's not a lot. I don't find it very enjoyable to listen to because their stuff is kind of all over the place. I think that live streaming requires some form of structure, that you have to at least know where you're going with what you're talking about. And it's not just kind of like the free flowing stream of consciousness stuff. I'm not a big fan of. And I'm not. I like structure to what I'm doing and having subjects that we talk about. So I don't intend on becoming any one of these individuals any one of these channels that covers this stuff. I just happen to be covering this at this point right now. So it's something fun to do. But there'll be new videos and stuff, but I won't be like sharing a great deal of my stuff out in the public square, like our theory crafting, like what Tony comes up with, what I come up with, or what other people happen to message me with. I don't plan on sharing that out and like throwing out into the world. There's a lot of baiting going on. People will throw stuff out just to like fuck with people, which I don't like. I have noticed that a lot, Tony, is that people will throw out, oh, I got this, or oh, it says like this. And they do it just to screw with people, which I really don't dig. I think it's shitty. And there's a lot of this nonsense going on, especially on Reddit, is really bad. And I think that some of the other content creators here on YouTube, I think they do that too, which I'm not a fan of. Some people take it seriously. Some people take it just for fun, do whatever, but don't do stuff. Don't put stuff out there deliberately to mess with other people's heads. Be constructive, not destructive.
I think more succinctly, don't be a dick. I think a lot of life's rules basically boil down to don't be a dick. And it seems like, but the internet is not the place to go to sort of get people obeying that maxim.
So this is pretty much where we're at. What other stuff has he talked about? Have you had a chance to go through like this stuff, Tony? You've looked through the website, right?
I have looked at the website. Yeah. I've read about 3/4 of the book, and because it's actually in a really annoying format.
It kind of is, yeah.
And I've poked around the website, but sort of not in any great detail, I'm going to admit. Okay. All right. Drop the C word. JL, don't mind. Don't mind
Only because Doremo put always follow Billy Butcher's #1 rule.
Right. Okay. All right. Yes. Well, that's true too.
Billy
Somebody.
Butcher, yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
And nobody says this. I don't think
Billy
anybody
Butcher
says this,
does have some good rules to live by. Yes.
and nobody says the C word like Carl Urban. Carl Urban, like drops it the way he says it is just fucking pitch perfect. So
yes, he is. He's a tremendously talented man. But somebody else was made a movie quote earlier that I was quite impressed by, but now I've forgotten. I was going to mention it at the time, and I should have, but I've forgotten it.
Let me see. It's hidden in Mordor.
Yeah, that's
the very air is a poisonous fume.
No, it's miles. It was before the 50 memberships, and that's as far back as I can see. Okay. So
not with 10,000 men could you do this. It is folly. Shut up, Boromir. It's such a Boromir thing to say. I thought you were my Samwise, but you're just Boromir. What the hell does that mean? Such a Boromir thing to say. Oh, the interview. So brilliant.
Yes.
So good. You're my precious. Don't be a twat waffle. Oh, I like it.
Mordor equals Trump's America. We're not going there. We're not going to take the bait, Clive.
Yeah, not taking the bait. Although if Yellowstone does erupt, we will have our own Mordor. Yeah, so I'm just saying.
The odds of that, you'd have to be phenomenally fucking unlucky for that to happen. So
for Yellowstone to go?
Yeah.
Super volcano?
Yes. But there's a a lot of people have made really good points. Don't dedicate too much effort. Look after yourself. And as Posey says in his stuff, personal safety always takes priority. And just just take it easy. And as was pointed out by somebody else, he got there with a broken tibia, so it can't be too hard to find. Right. Just like when Fenn deposited his treasure, he was in his 60s or 70s, or 80s. He was quite an old man, so it can't have been too hard to get to. So don't try anything too astonishing. That's the one. Wrote it last names quote. They're digging in the wrong place.
In the wrong place. Oh, yes. I am the Sultan of the sea. John Rhys Davies, I fucking love him.
Yes.
Bad dates.
Yes, Belloc's staff was too long.
Belloc's staff was too long.
I've never heard it phrased quite like that. I Killed Earl. That puts an entirely different spin on the entire movie. Yes, Planet Peterson has been sort of snipping me and putting me in these videos.
He has.
Yeah.
Watch it. And hey, Jord, good to see you, bud. It's been a while. Glad you're doing well. Peach and Tony's popping up everywhere. Everything's coming up, Tony. It really is. We're still waiting for Crack of Tony to go off because we haven't seen it in a while.
I haven't seen it in a while. I'm trying to be more temperate in my even more advanced years. I have been asked if I'm willing to debate Kyle Adams. Which I said yes to. Because he seems a well-intentioned individual, but the idea that somebody that stupid seriously contends that other people could be more incorrect is offensive on every single level. No, sir, you are one of the most grotesque idiots humanity has ever placed on the surface of this planet. Shut up.
The decline of Western civilization. I swear.
Screw Western civilization. I mean, this guy This guy single-handedly is a deadweight evolutionary load that humanity has to cover. Like, we are significantly more likely to go extinct because he's here, right? Our ability to survive the next existential threat is, a few percentage points down just from this one individual.
Clive Wells says, but isn't Kyle Adams a professor?
He professes that he's a professor. Does that make him a professor?
That you profess things doesn't make you a professor.
Exactly.
Or to quote Mr. Wolf, just because you are a character doesn't mean you have character.
Exactly.
Yes. Less useful than a blocked appendix. Liam Wakefield, awesome. Darren Motet says, got to go for now. Tell the illegal migrant chupacabras I said hi. I will do that. If I see any chupacabras, I will give them your best. Doremo, thank you so much for being here, bud. Simon Dan is doing a video on Kyle Adams tomorrow, according to Steve6464. Awesome. That'll be hilarious. I'm liking his celebration for hitting, I think, 3 million views. He's doing a video a day, which is pretty awesome.
That is a lot of effort, and congratulations for him. Yeah. Kyle Adams is one of those walking, vacuums. Like, you look at that, and there is just a lack of everything. A lack of thought, a lack of knowledge, a lack of skill. There's just, the ability, I think that air only enters him because of the low air pressure inside his skull. I think that's the only he cannot actively breathe. It's just air flows in there because his head is so empty. But whatever.
If he had an original thought, his fucking head would collapse.
Yeah.
NA for 666, thank you so much. NA says, some people like me want to see the world burn. We don't deserve this planet. It reminds me of the Arrival. One of my favorite Charlie Sheen movies was The Arrival. Right. Charlie Sheen, Lindsay Krause, Ron Silver. But you've never seen it?
No, you've got me thinking of the other one with
Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner.
Amy Adams, yeah.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. I believe it's still on. It's on YouTube for free. It's called The Arrival, a Charlie Sheen film. Really good. Written and directed by David Toohey before he went on to do the Riddick stuff. So, but really, really good sci-fi film. But I really that line is in there. It's like if your species can't tend to this planet, none of you deserve to be here. So.
Well, I'm not sure that that's entirely true because, I mean, it's not like guinea pigs are doing much to tend to the planet. So, all of them should, you can use that every species down over to the bonobos. So what have you been doing to combat global warming? And just cross them all off. No, that's not how anything works. You just go, okay, you're too stupid to have this much influence over a planet. So, we're going to stop you from doing that. Nature abhors a vacuum. Yeah, it doesn't seem to abhor Kyle Adams that much.
Jinji says, I'm a bit concerned should jail run into any bears. He might try starting a commune with them. Different bear. So, totally different bear. Yeah, those are other bears. Yes. And George says, I'll make your world burn in a way only a special ointment can fix. Nice. Okay. So I said deserve. I think NA meant deserve.
That's what I thought he meant. That's what I thought he meant. Yeah.
But I don't know what diverse is.
That isn't a word. Then diverse.
Shame on me for assuming a typo.
But... Yeah, that's right.
All right. So some ideas here, just to throw them out there. These are things that Justin has said about this. Is an advanced degree or deep technical knowledge needed to solve this poem? He's done my best to design it in a way that is accessible by anybody. You don't need any advanced degrees. Any reasonable person that spends a bit of time researching online and getting a baseline understanding of me is on equal footing. Some people are saying they're finding code in the website. Is that necessary? That sounds like fun, but no, there are no hidden codes in the website code that would require advanced knowledge. Are the poem clues in consecutive order? Yes. Am I the only person who will know when the treasure's been found? That's not something I want to expand on, but it is fair to say that the finder will need to come forward in the 30-day window in order to collect the Bitcoin prize. So what will happen is when someone finds the treasure, Justin will immediately know, which leads me to think that it is air tagged, and that when he knows, it starts a 30-day timer for them to come forward and say that they've claimed it. If they
Right.
don't, if they don't claim it in that 30-day time, they don't get the Bitcoin wallet.
Okay.
So that's like the key there to collect the Bitcoin prize. Is the treasure buried? If you know where to go, it wouldn't matter either way. Are dangerous water crossings required? Nothing dangerous is required. Can someone find it without using the map on the website book? The map is useful. Will the solution take you to an exact spot or a general area? If you've solved the poem in its entirety, you'll end up at an exact location. Unlike Fenn's poem, which led you to an area that you then had to search. Because one thing that Justin wanted to make sure of is that he wanted to make sure that people didn't wind up having to grid search, in a specific area that because of how vague it was. Because that's what happened to him. He wanted to solve the problems of the Fenn poem with his poem, so that people were like, drowning in rivers, like what happened with Fenn's home when 4 people died trying to get that location, trying to get that treasure. How far from your car do you need to go? You don't need to hike a great distance. You don't need to hike more than a mile to figure out where the treasure is at. Now, apparently there is a steward. Does the steward have other treasure items for the eventual finder? Apparently not all of the treasure is in the location. So if you find it, when you find it, there will be instructions there to contact the steward, who will have the rest of the treasure and the ability to claim the Bitcoin wallet. So all that stuff. So, but the steward doesn't know where it's at. The steward is just there to be contacted when you found the treasure. And apparently, we think the steward is his lawyer. Are advanced ciphers needed? There is one hint that I couldn't help but adding that could arguably require a slight bit of technical knowledge. It's not a critical hint, but there is one thing. Are there intentional red herrings? Intentional red herrings? No. How many gold coins are in the treasure? There are many gold coins, almost exclusively 1 ounce or larger. Almost everything in the treasure is gold. The container is filled to the gills with treasure. Can we access the location 24/7? As of March 31st, 8:10 p.m. Central Time, 2025, yes. It is accessible 24/7. Do you have to pay to get into the location? No, not as of today. Will you give the complete solve after it has been found? I don't see why I wouldn't. It would be maddening to not know the solution. Did the Beyond the Maps Edge LLC, the business, the company that he created to handle all this, was established from day one in Wyoming. Can it be found in wintertime? This is the danger thing, is I don't want anyone doing anything dangerous. If there's snowy conditions, you aren't going to have any luck. Completely avoid searching in the snow or any bitter cold conditions. What's most important is keeping the hunt safe. Is the treasure hidden? The container will be immediately recognizable, and no, it isn't a Fenn chest replica. You don't need any knowledge of the Fenn hunt to be successful here. How many hints are in the series? There are several sprinkled throughout. I had zero creative control over the process of the documentary itself, so no control over the editing. I was a participant. I didn't know what scenes would be edited out. I didn't know what would be in focus or in frame. I didn't know the scene ordering, so it was a unique challenge. Not everything ended up in the series that I hoped, but there are some really good hints in there. What is a better reference, the series or the book? The book is a better resource, but there are great things in the series too. Necessary to research my family. I do speak about my family. That being said, you do not need to track down friends and family. They cannot help you, as they have no additional knowledge. If your brother was still here, would you still have done the hunt? Probably yes. The hunt is a tribute to him. If there any sort of clue verification built into, there is a checkpoint that will give you zero doubt that you were trending in the right direction. Can you rule out any structures? It is not associated with any man-made structure. It is not hidden at a structure. You do not need to touch a structure. How much is solvable from home? A fair amount. Is there a distinction between a clue and a hint? He treats them as synonymous. Does the series contain hints that help with the book? There are some hints in the series that will guide you in the book. Can you talk about an item that was special? There's a lot of it is sentimental. The treasure weighs 60 pounds. The location that whispers of personal lore and secrets. Is it true to say the person that finds the treasure will come to know what those secrets are? I think so, yes. Can I bring my dog? If your dog is the outdoors type, absolutely, which my dogs definitely are. As a matter of fact, for the past month, we have been going out and doing the trails here locally in Oklahoma to get them acclimated to basically trail running and basically walking on the trail in the wilderness. So my dogs are getting used to being outdoors on their harnesses and following trails and obeying commands when we're on the trail, so they don't run off trying to like catch stuff. And and Oso is taken to it like a duck to water. He'll follow trails without me having to like. It took like 2 trips, and now he's figured out how to follow the trail without me having to guide him anymore. So he'll like watch it and he'll know exactly where to go. It's wild. He'll follow switchbacks like no problem. So it's amazing. So my dogs are so smart. This is ridiculous. What's up? Yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Oh no, I was just thinking your dogs are quite smart in comparison to you. So that's.
Oh, thank you. NA, who gifted another 5 memberships to the Godless Army. Thank you so much. NA, you rock. Yep, Greg asked, the treasure weighs 60 pounds. So it took him 4 trips to get it from wherever his vehicle was to the treasure location, obviously because it was so much and he had a broken leg. He had a broken tibia when he was doing it. So that was the first round back in March 31st. He's not answering any questions privately. He doesn't want anyone to get the impression I'm giving out private hints. He will not confirm or deny any solution to anyone. When you find the treasure, you will find clear instructions on how to proceed. Interview, how to get... there were counterfeit books being sold through direct purchase Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And the counterfeit books were all messed up. Like the formats were screwed up and everything. So, yeah, there's counterfeit books out there already. That was April 8th. That was like a couple of weeks after the documentary dropped. Let me see here. How much? Oh, yeah. People are asking questions about the documentary. Is there a cipher, a technical clue? 2 elements at play. One is a cipher, but it's not advanced. It is very approachable. The other element arguably could require some technical knowledge or technical know-how, but there are other ways to uncover it that would require very minimal knowledge. It's not a super critical clue. Is the cipher in the poem or the book? I haven't specified. I am working with the illustrator to collaborate on a signing event, yada, yada. Regarding the 4 points of the compass, okay, this is an interesting one. And for you, Tony, regarding the 4 points of the compass, do each of the points define the starting point, the bride, the babbling brook, and the exact spot you're seeking? And he says, I will have to punt on that. So, and the starting point, the bride is from the poem. The babbling brook is from another poem that's in the book that he wrote about Tucker. And then the exact spot of the treasure. So, and then Brandon Tucker, your dad, your grandpa. Brandon Tucker, your dad, your grandpa, but on your website. Do they each designate a specific side of the compass? Anything related to that, I think the book is a better reference. Was the clock actually moving during the filming of the series? It was set to 4:19 for quite a few scenes. That was a bit uncanny. Don't know what he means by that.
So, uncanny is a weird word.
Right.
So but yeah. It's quite clear that the position of the clock hands didn't progress while he was talking. He was talking for some time, and the clock hands wouldn't progress from one time to another. Minutes weren't passing. It seemed to me that the clock was stationary; it wasn't working, and that the positions of the hour and the minute hands were deliberate.
Do you need to be boots on the ground to see the checkpoint? I haven't specified. See, that's another kicker. Where's the box? Who says it's a box? Who knows where the treasure's hidden? No one knows but me. Is a specialized vehicle required? You don't need a high clearance vehicle to find the treasure. Which leads to tell me either an ATV or an e-bike might be helpful, but you could also probably do it on foot. Which we're going to be doing it on foot. This one, there was a photo in the book that says $100 to anybody who can tell me where this photo was taken, and it was a photo of his own personal like ATV. He had this customized, tricked out sport utility utility vehicle that he had outfitted for like with an air conditioner and a heater, and Tucker had his own little special place in it, and all of his gear was there. So Kevin Cooper identified it. He won the $100, and it was I don't even think he says where it was, but he identified where the location was. Audiobooks on the way. A lot of people, there's been a lot of concern about people being safe and going to the right places. So he's had to been really good. It's not on private property. Do not go on private property. Do not do anything dangerous. Don't break the law to do this. So,
Yeah, this again is sort of learning from the Fen treasure where people became obsessed with. And this is one of the difficulties with this sort of hunt is that you can easily slip into confirmation bias, where you've decided that these clues fit with something that you know very well, and that it happened to multiple people that to them the sequence of clues just seemed inevitably to lead to their chosen conclusion, and they were just wrong.
Right.
He's put in several safeguards here. It should not be anywhere near as obscure as the Fen clues were, and you should be able to confirm that you're on the right track. And again, I think that there's a limit to how technically you should be approaching this stuff. The poem tells you in the last stanza that it's not as complicated as all that. It feels like you just need to know stuff. You need to sort of know the local geography, know the geography of this particular location, and you should be able to navigate fairly clearly. That's the impression I get, but maybe I'm wrong. And again, he's fairly open about the fact that in order to get the significance of a lot of these clues, you need to know about him.
So yeah, this is kind of I think it's going to be fun, and we have Angela and I have we have search areas in multiple states, so this obviously will not be the only trip. We'll go. When we carve out the time to be able to go, we'll go to, once we've exhausted one area, we're going to go to another area. We have multiple states that we have locations that we think match. Three in particular. So, but we're going to be checking those out. It should be a lot of fun. So this will be the first, unless somebody finds a treasure, then we'll just, go and do things on our own. But as far as content goes, as far as doing this will be the first one, as long as nobody finds a treasure and we have a goal to go out there and do fun stuff. There will be more content to come. So this has been amazing. Let me check my YouTube studio and see where we are at. What am I at? I'm at 10,001.
Nice. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you very much. Just hit 10K. 10,001 subscribers.
Oh, that's brilliant.
I'm like really fucking happy right now.
Yeah. That's pretty fantastic. Clive Wells wants 2 people to unsub. I on the other hand need to sort of rain on this parade a little bit.
What happened?
I need to go eat.
That's not a rain and parade. You're old, and you get hungry, and your blood sugar drops. And we got to make sure you drops. Yes. We got to make sure you're getting enough calcium.
Yep, that's right. That's exactly right.
We got to make sure you're fueled up so that solar panel for your sex machine on top of your head works. All right. So a huge giant thank you, Tony, for hanging out with me. This has been a lot of fun. Yeah. Earl says you don't want to break a hip.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Very serious risk.
So huge giant thank you to PC Tony for hanging out with me. Thank you for letting me rope you into this whole thing. The adventure is just beginning. We've been prepping for weeks, so this is going to be a lot of fun. All of you out there now know what I've been working on in addition to doing content for the channel. But we've been doing this. We've been training for it. Doing trail stuff, getting the equipment together. I'll get the block of time. The plan is solid, so we're going out there, and there's going to be content coming from where we're at. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But yeah, it's going to be a blast. Thank you all for that, and thank you all so much for all the super chats and all the new memberships. You guys rock, and for 10,000 subscribers, just broke. So this did turn into a 10K stream. The 10K stream when I announced that I'm doing something new. That's. I'm like so fucking giddy right now. I don't even know what to do. I don't.
Everything's going in the right direction. Take your maybe go out and give your dogs a treat.
Absolutely.
Or take the missus out for dinner. So you've got options.
Oh, wait, 10,001. Oh, 10,001? Nothing? Tough crowd. Oh, so yeah, 10,001. So very, very good. Thank you, Elizabeth S. and CJL. Congrats to 10K Bridge the Divide. Thank you all very much. Yes, you guys rock. So yeah, look forward to new content coming out. Be sure to follow Tony because he's blowing up all over the place. Thanks to Eric Peterson and of course Justin over at Deconstruction Zone. He's been wrecking shop and taking bad science to task. It's been great shit. So look for more stuff from him. Do you have anything big coming up, or just
No, I might try and produce a video at some stage, but who can tell?
Cool. All right. Well, be sure
change.
you subscribe to Tony. Thank you all for your subscribing to this channel. I hope you all rock. I hope you enjoy the new content. It's a little bit different from the debunking stuff, but hey, occasionally you need to have some fun and do something different. And I'm looking forward to doing this. Like I said, it's on the Discord. Join the Bridge the Divide Discord. We can talk about this. I've got the channel all set up, so go and check that out. If you have thoughts or if you have whatever you want to say, it's right there at the top. Treasure hunt chat. I look forward to seeing what people put in there. So it's all available. And I'll be in there talking with people as well. So it should be a lot of fun. Something fun for us to do aside from worry about whether this planet is going to explode in the next week or something, or who knows what the hell is happening when they suspend habeas corpus here in America. And, I don't know what's going on. It's insane, but we don't need to worry about that. So thank you all again. New stuff coming up. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Thank you again, Tony. You rock, dude.
No.
Appreciate it.
No problem.
All right. Hope you all enjoyed this one. Let me go ahead and remove that. You guys have been amazing. Thank you all for all the support. I couldn't have done it without you. Hope you enjoyed the new stuff. As always, be safe. Be excellent to each other. And together we can bridge the divide. I'm going to get it right eventually.
All right. Take care.